Hello, today we are in St Lucia in the Caribbean and we are going to fly in the ATR 72-600 via Caribbean Airways to Barbados. So let's jump in and set the aircraft up. So as usual, first thing to do is set the battery running. Clear the master caution. We will check our payload. And today we have 66 passengers. And block fuel of 1269 kilos. So we get that loading, set our takeoff trim, we have our operating speeds set up. I will request fuel in first from ground services. And make sure that we have ground power set, and we will open the doors to allow boarding to start. And check runway condition is dry, so that's all fine. Power levers are set to ground idle. Idle gate is set to ground. Gas lock is on, so we will start engine 2 in place of the external power unit. So make sure external power is switched on. We'll set the engine starter to AB, set the fuel pump running for engine 2. Prop brake is on, and we will start engine 2. As soon as we'll load our required fuel. We've climbed above 10. We'll set the fuel shut-off lever for engine 2 to fill up. Back on the overhead panel, the ignition light for the engine starter is extinguished, so we can turn the engine starter off. You can hear the engine spooling up. Turn on the wind hill sheeting and the probes. Turn on the navigation lights and turn on the main oxygen supply. Clear the master caution. Sufficient power on engine 2, so we're now going to remove the external power, no longer required as we have started engine 2, so we can remove ground power. I believe refueling has already completed. It has, so we can start loading catering services and the passengers. So we will tune into the Atis frequency and we will get the weather conditions for our departure airport. Okay, Atis frequency is 132,600. So it's just tuning in.
Restrictions are in effect for George F. Charles. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango. George F. Charles Airport Information Tango. 105 for Zulu. Wind 105 at 9er, temperature 29er. Dew point 25. QNH 1015. Landing and departing runway 09er. Transition level 090. Temporary flight restrictions are in effect for George F. Charles. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango. George F. Charles Airport Information Tango. 105 for Zulu.
So that's good, we've got the Atis information that we need, and we will request delivery clearance from the tower, which I've just tuned into. George Charles Ground, Caribbean Airlines 254 with information Tango, QNH 1015, requesting IFR clearance to Grantley Adams International, please.
Caribbean Airlines 254, George Charles Ground, information Tango correct, expect runway 09er. Climb 6,000 feet on runway centerline, then expect radar vector steady. Squawk 2662.
So expecting runway 09, the altitude clearance of 6,000 feet, expecting radar vectors to Teddy, squawking 2662, Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, read back correct. Call me back when ready for pushback or engine start.
Wilco, Caribbean Airlines 254. So we've just entered the squawk code that we're required to enter. So that's ready to go. And we will set up the flight manager computer next. So the first thing we need to do, initialize our position, set that with a GPS, and then check performance initialization. Cruise altitude is going to be 11,000 feet. I'll check the weights. Weights are entered. Takeoff trim. Okay, so we start setting our flight plan up. So create a new plan, set the route. So the route is going to be TLPC. To TBPB. Enter that in the from to exec, and we are leaving on runway 09. There are no SIDS at this airport. After that we'll be going to Teddy as the first waypoint. Should be TT. Then the next waypoint on flight plan after Teddy is BGI. Again TB. And don't think there's a star for Barbados that we'll be using, so we're expecting radar vectors for that route when we get there. So we click navigation display, and if I'm zooming out or in, yeah, we can see that our route is set up. Okay, So flight plan set up, and we'll just check. We check the weights and performance initialization again. That's all fine. Transponder code is set. The barometer we need to set to 1015. It's currently on 1013. 1015. And the autopilot, we will set our altitude clearance to 6000. This is our initial clearance. And we will set heading mode initially and indicated airspeed mode before we actually enter our flight plan as our route. Check that power management is in takeoff mode, correct. Flight director is on. Okay, we'll set the heading mode as soon as we're set up on the runway. To just check that all ground services are completed before we get pushback. Quite sure if we've completed loading or not, so let's check on the ground services menu. We're still waiting for passengers. And they've just arrived. And here's the luggage. So we'll wait for this to complete and I will come back and we'll skip ahead to when that's finished. Okay, so the last of the bags are being completed. We will contact ATC to request push and start. George Charles Ground, Caribbean Airlines 254, requesting push and start please.
Caribbean Airlines 254, George Charles Ground, pushback approved. Face east.
Pushback approved, facing east, Caribbean Airlines 254. So east is the complete opposite direction that I'm currently facing. So that's what we'll set up. So let's just make sure our doors are closed and we will request pushback from ground services. On the overhead panel we will set our beacon lights on and our taxi lights, logo lights, wing lights on, set our device lights, seat belts on, the emergency lighting. Making a meal out of this. Smooth. So we want nose right, tail left to face east. Take off the wheel chocks and release the parking brakes. So we will now start engine 1. Set the fuel pump running, set the starter to AB and set the ignition. Set the condition lever to feather. Right, we'll set the engine condition for engine 1 to auto. Check the hydraulic pressure overhead as soon as that's okay. Turn off the engine starter as the ignition light is extinguished. Good on the lights, so we can now turn off the prop brake. Prop brake is unlocked. Parking brakes set. Set engine 2 to auto. I'll confirm a good engine start. We'll set our flaps to 15 degrees. Verify no fault lights, no off lights. And we will obtain clearance for taxi from ATC. George Charles Ground, Caribbean Airlines 254, requesting taxi to runway please.
Caribbean Airlines 254, runway 09er taxi via Bravo.
Runway 09, taxiing via Bravo, Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, contact George Charles Tower 118.0, bye-bye.
Contacting George Charles Tower on 118.0, Caribbean Airlines 254. So let's taxi. We're going to effectively turn right immediately onto the runway. So we need to request departure from the tower before we even move effectively in this situation. George Charles Tower, Caribbean Airlines 254, requesting departure please.
Caribbean Airlines 254 backtrack runway 09. Call fan ready for departure.
Backtracking runway 09, Caribbean Airlines 254. I'm just going to ignore the tug that just drove into me and we'll just get going. Give it a little bit of power to get moving. Slight crosswind. I forgot. My landing lights and strobes again. This is becoming a feature. I think if I can manage to do everything in the limited amount of time they have to get going, it's going to be a miracle. So no turning area in St Lucia, a little disappointing. So the previous airports we've flown at have had quite nice generous turn circles at the end. But we can turn on a dime, it seems, so maybe not too much of an issue. So we'll go through our final checks before we depart. So make sure the gust lock is off. Set our idle to flight. Power management is in the takeoff position. Condition levers are both auto. We need to set our transponder to on. We will set our heading for autopilot to our current runway heading. Set the yaw damper on. Altitude is set, 6,000, indicated airspeed. So we are good to depart. So I will request final clearance from ATC. George Charles Tower, Caribbean Airlines 254, request departure please.
Caribbean Airlines 254, George Charles Tower, wind 105 at 9, fly heading 090, runway 09, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 09, Caribbean Airlines 254. So I'm just going to wait until this tug has left the runway. If he's ever going to leave the runway. This is quite a face-off. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win in this situation. Well, I'm going for it. He's going to have to move. Wheel brakes off. Well, that was the signal that he needed. News I wasn't bluffing. Oh, he's come back for some more, has he? Well, we're in notch now, buddy, so... And this time I forgot to check my rotate speed, but about now seems like a good time. Gear up. Positive rate of climb. Flaps up. Autopilot set.
カリブビーンエアラインズ254コンタクトセイントルーシアデパーチャー119.8
Contacted St Lucia departure on 119.8 Caribbean Airlines 254. So again, we weren't in the right speed mode, and we need to put into climb now. Hopefully we're going to clear those hills. Meanwhile, we will contact St Lucia departure 119.8. St Lucia departure, Caribbean Airlines 254 at 1,800 feet, climbing to 6,000 feet.
Caribbean Airlines 254, St Lucia departure, identified, climb to flight level 100.
Climbing to flight level 100, Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, 10 right, heading 150.
Turn right heading 150, Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, 10 right, heading 155.
Turn right heading 155, Caribbean Airlines 254. A little bit of light wispy cloud, but otherwise a beautiful day. So we can go onto our route now, once he actually acknowledges that we can. Hopefully they will say soon. We don't have to do vectors the whole way to Barbados. A little bumpy with the wind, it's around 20 knots crosswind.
Caribbean Airlines 254, clear direct Teddy. Resume on navigation.
Clear to Teddy, Caribbean Islands 254.
Negative, clear direct Teddy.
Clear to direct Teddy, Caribbean Islands 254. So we'll set to nav mode to pick up our flight plan route. So navigation display. So we'll pick up Teddy, and effectively it's a straight line then to Barbados. So I'll probably jump in and out of the recording just so you don't have to watch a straight line. Jump to the more interesting bits.
Caribbean Airlines 254. Contact Piarco Radar 123.7. Have a good day.
Cut in PR.
Negative. Piarco Radar on 123.7.
Yeah, I choked again, that's why it was negative. Contact in 123.7 Caribbean Airlines 254. Piarco radar, Caribbean Airlines 254, 8,000 feet, climbing to 11,000 feet.
Caribbean Airlines 254. Piarco radar contact. Climb to flight level 110.
Climbing to flight level 110, Caribbean Airlines 254. Which I was doing anyway, so okay. So let's be good this time and check the Atis for our destination, because we had to lie last time. Pretended we'd listened to it. Three two 725. 132 725. Okay, that's why I can't hear anything. Okay, it doesn't seem to be working on VHF 2 for some reason. Because I got it turned down. Okay, not quite sure why that's not working. Let's just jump onto the main radio.
Landing and departing runway 09er. Transition level 030. Advise on initial contact. You have information uniform. Bradley Adams Airport information uniform. 1124 Zulu. Wind 105 at 23, gas 37 rain. Ceiling 1600 broken. Temperature 28. Dew point 25. QNH 1014. Landing and departing runway 09er. Transition level 030. Advise on initial contact. You have information uniform. Bradley Adams Airport information uniform. 1124 Zulu. Wind 105.
Okay, so that's good. I've paid attention to my arrival airport weather this time. Been a very good boy. So we are at altitude, so we can turn off seatbelts and no devices.
Caribbean Airlines 254, turn right, heading 180, vector for Grantley Adams Airport.
Turn right 180, Caribbean Airlines 254. Okay, so we're back on heading mode to 180, being vectored already. So right turn to 180. I heard lots of negative things about how the vectoring works on BeyondATC, but I've had sort of fairly good experiences, probably largely because I don't know how it's doing it wrong. This is all quite new to me anyway, so I'm sort of going with the flow. If you're more experienced simmer or you're an actual pilot, you'll probably be able to tell straight away that it's not quite right, but I'm enjoying it. I think the experience has been really good. It's taken me directly off the route now, so I'm sort of in their hands. Told us to basically head due south, where our flight plan was heading to the southeast, so we'll see where they take us. I can see they're probably taking us to line up with the ILS for the runway, so it does make sense. Speaking of which, I'll put the ILS frequency in ready. Which I've already forgotten to do from last time. Yes, here we go. That wasn't so bad. 110.10. I will switch over navigation mode as soon as we're established. Quite windy now. Might put the seatbelt signs back on just so everyone's safely in their seats. Take the landing lights off while we're at it.
Caribbean Airlines 254, turn left, heading 120, intercept the 09er localizer.
Turning left 120, Caribbean Airlines 254. It's quite an odd routing. Basically going to send us back to where the flight plan was going to take us, as is their will. I'll just share the little nav map of the route, so sort of perfectly set us up to effectively intercept the ILS. So it makes sense. Obviously this was the direct route that was going to expect vectors and maybe around this point, but that's all good. So we're going to have to judge when our top of descent would be, because obviously we're not on our route, so in similar distance. Just 36 miles out, so currently 44. So as soon as this is around 36, we should be starting to descend. So let's request that now, just so we're not descending too late. Piarco radar, Caribbean Airlines 254, ready for descent.
Caribbean Airlines 254, intercept the 09er localizer, descent to 3000 feet, QNH1014, Grantway Adams Airport landing runway 09er.
Descend to 3000 feet, QNH 1014, landing runway 09.
Caribbean Airlines 254, descend to 2300 feet, vectors for the approach.
Descend into 2300 feet, Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, contact Adams approach 129er.35.
Contacting Adams approach 129.35, Caribbean Airlines 254. So set to 2300. We'll come into vertical speed mode and we'll descend a nice 1500 to start with. Then we will contact Adams approach 12935. Where are we? Adams approach, Caribbean Airlines 254, 10,000 feet, descending to 2,300 feet.
Caribbean Airlines 254, verify information uniform.
Verify information uniform, Caribbean Airlines 254. Forgot to tell him again.
Caribbean Airlines 254 Adams approach, QNH 1014 expect radar vector 4 ILS Yankee runway 09er.
Expecting vectors for runway 09, QNH 1014, Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, to 3 miles from CF09er, flight present heading, maintain 2000 feet until established on the final approach course, clear ILS Yankee runway 09er.
Maintain 2000 feet, cleared approach for ILS runway 09, Caribbean Airlines 254. So down to 2000. So we will let them know when we are established. It's a little way to go yet. Just say 23 miles out. Yeah. So we'll make a left turn in about 18 miles or so. Unless they tell us otherwise. Descending nicely. So if we maintain this heading, change the navigation mode over to the localizer, that should pick us up and take us in the right course. These buttons are very sensitive. So let's see how that works. Yes, so we're on the localizer. Okay, so as soon as that picks us up, as we're on the localizer, we'll go into approach mode as well. Make a left turn to 105. That should get us on a nice course to Intercept. Watch our speed. Slow down to about 200. Some serious crosswinds. Should become headwinds, and we're on the right heading. A slight left turn, and we're on the locator now.
Caribbean Airlines 254, contact Adams Tower 118.7.
Contacting Adams Tower 118.7, Caribbean Airlines 254. Adams Tower, Caribbean Airlines 254 on final.
Caribbean Airlines 254, Adams Tower, continue.
Wilco, Caribbean Airlines 254. So we will lower landing gear and flaps 1. Watch our speeds, dropped a little low there. So we're descending on the glide slope. Speed is good for flaps 2.
Caribbean Airlines 254, wind 105 altitude 3, dash 37, runway 09er clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 09, Caribbean Airlines 254. It's going to emerge out of the wispy clouds, hopefully. Full faith in the computers so far. We seem to be descending, so I think we are picked up on the glide slope, because I'm not doing anything right now. Just keep an eye on those speeds. Of boats along the harbour. Not such a nice day in Barbados as it was in St Lucia. And the Jersey experience is anything to go by. On the ILS to try and crash us into the ground way before we actually get to the runway. It's going to be a very windy landing. This might be quite a challenge. Still completely unsighted at the moment. 500 feet. Stick with the autopilot for a little longer. Extremely windy conditions. Speed warning. Okay, autopilot off. It's okay, just a little underspeed. It's fine. Just see the runway now. Huge crosswinds. Yes, it's okay. It's not a problem. Speed is fine. We're just gonna make it. Try and relax, computers. Gosh, this wind. It's okay. It's okay. It'll be okay. Good with the lights. Okay. Stop buzzing at me. Look, it made us go too high now. Speed was fine. See, I knew what I was doing. Computer's blaring at me, telling me I'm too slow. And now look the situation we're in. We're gonna go way past the threshold where we should have landed. And basically, you have to go around if we're not careful. Sometimes you should just trust your instinct. We need to get us on the ground. It's gusting too much. Gosh. Not the best landing I've ever done. That was nowhere near the centerline or the threshold. Just slightly let down by the speed warnings there. I think I was doing okay. And I started powering up too far. But it's on the ground. That's the main thing. Winds are a bit unkind there.
Caribbean Airlines 254, exit left at Alpha.
Exit left at Alpha, Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, contact ground 121.9.
Contacting ground 121.9, Caribbean Airlines 254. Well, my landings are not improving. But the main thing is, it's on the ground. I think we might have hit down twice. What are you going to do? Adams Ground, Caribbean Airlines 254, requesting taxi to gate, please.
Caribbean Airlines 254, welcome to Grand Lians Airport. Say parking ora by Sifni Asaim.
Let's see what's available. Let's go park at 2. Park in 2, please. Caribbean Airlines 254.
Caribbean Airlines 254, ramp to taxi via Alpha, Charlie.
Taxi into ramp 2 via Alpha and Charlie, Caribbean Airlines 254. Okay, so it's left and then all the way down. Feel quite small here amongst the jet airliners. If there may be buddy ATRs on the apron anywhere. Park in 3. And park in 2 for us. Okay, I think we've gone too far. That'll do. I think we'd all be glad to get out of this plane after that, but we're on the ground safe, so can't complain. Can't complain too much. Let's get everyone off. There we go. We got away with it again. Just about. So hopefully you'll join me again and witness the semi-amateurish flying that you get on this channel. See you next time.